Hi, my name is Cody and I'm a mechanical engineering student at Cabrillo. So the Engineering Abroad program has taught me a lot, especially in the field of engineering. Taught me a lot about pulley systems, gravitational forces, static equilibrium, and even some fluid dynamics. All joking aside though, the Engineering Abroad program did teach me a lot. I think one of the biggest things that I got from the program was working on an engineering-based project where I got to be a part of every step in the process. Like others have said, we were presented with the problem of not creating enough compost. So we did a ton of research and reached out to professionals to gain a better understanding of the problem. And then, being on the shredder team, we came up with a design, and then we machined the parts at the Cabrillo machine shop and built a prototype, and then a final version in Costa Rica. I think one of my favorite parts about the whole process was the machining. Other than being in Costa Rica, of course. But machining is something I wanted to get more hands-on experience with and get a better understanding of. And thanks to Bob and Hank, machine shop guys, we were able to spend 2 whole weekends making the parts we needed and making these cool little teeth in the spacers there. And my time in the machine shop has inspired me to work on more hands-on machining projects. So when it came to building the shredder, we had done a ton of planning. We had made drawings for each part, we built a prototype, and we even laid out all the parts 2 or 3 times before we left. But when we got there, we still came into a few issues right away. First of all, the infamous red bag was missing, which contained half those parts we made at Cabrillo. And then we left the shredder handle at Cabrillo, and the wood dimensions were much different than we had anticipated. We provided true cut lumber instead of the traditional 2x4 you'd buy at Home Depot. So to solve these solutions, or these problems, we were able to find a machine shop just 2 hours out of town that was able to make us the metal parts within just a few days. And that was great. So we ordered the parts, and then the same day they showed up, of course, we found the red bag, and which actually helped us later on because we used some of those extra parts to cut into pieces and have one of the locals weld this beautiful handle here. And then, as far as the wood dimensions go, we had to redimension the entire frame, drill counter bores for some of the shorter bolts, and then move some of the longer bolts where we couldn't place the counter bores. And it ended up being a lot more than I had anticipated, but we got it done, and it was great. And so the moral of that story is that no matter how much you think you planned and think you're prepared, hiccups always happen, and you should always be prepared for things to not go the way you plan. So being immersed in Providencia, I was really impressed with their efforts towards sustainability and the simple solutions they were using, like this gray water garden here. Filters the gray water by absorbing soaps and other contaminants in the plants and allowing fresh water to percolate down to the water table. Or there's these eco bricks that they were using here to build things like this sink or these steps. The eco bricks are a pretty simple idea. They're actually just water bottles shoved so tightly with plastic bags that they're rock hard, and so they're using their trash to make something useful, which I thought was really creative, and it's inspired me to keep sustainability in mind working on future projects. So some of the hardest working days were working with the locals, mixing and pouring concrete. I was so impressed with how hard that these kids work. They get up at 4 a.m. for school every day, and then they get home just in time for dinner and to get a little homework done, and they get up and do the same thing. And then when they're on their break, they're here helping us pour concrete, and they're stoked every day they're doing it. I didn't hear them complain even once. I only heard them giggling. And then, anyways, I was just so impressed by that. And I think that, when I feel like I don't have enough free time, I'm going to remember what these kids do while they're in high school versus what I was doing in high school. And so, one thing I was really worried about going to Costa Rica was that I didn't speak hardly any Spanish. And even though my Spanish was a bit embarrassing, I felt very welcomed by the families, and they were very understanding. And luckily I was bunked with Jose, who could translate my horrible attempts at Spanish most of the time. And we ended up playing Uno with the kids almost every night, and that was a terrific way to end every day. And then lastly, I just want to say thank you to all you guys for everything. It was so fun being brought with you guys. All my friends now.